Well, welcome back, Overserved listeners out there on Facebook. We're in a new spot here on Facebook, but we love doing the live show. I'm Matt. I got Phil here with me. We just returned a few days ago from Pittsburgh.
Yes.
We went to the game. Phil, what was your biggest takeaway from Pittsburgh? Being at Heinz Field, right on the river, what was your biggest takeaway?
From a fan experience standpoint, I think I was a little surprised because I've been to a lot of different fields in that area and in the Northeast as well.
Yep.
And the fact that the fans weren't standing up for the entire game kind of took me back. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting them to be up the whole game.
They were pretty weak. The weird thing was we were standing up for kickoff because you stand up for kickoff.
Even at Cowboys Stadium, we stand up for kickoff.
Yeah, because once the start of the game, you want to get excited and. Sit down, we can't see. Turn around, it's a Cowboys fan yelling at us to sit down and a Steelers fan next to him yelling at us. And we're like, we'll sit down after the play. Like, we're not going to stand forever, but it's kickoff.
Yeah.
And they never stand.
Yeah.
That was, like, perception-wise, I thought, Pittsburgh Steelers, they're going to have great fans. They're going to be cheering the whole time. They're going to be in our face, in our ears. Didn't talk shit. Didn't stand. I mean, it was like... It was almost weird talking back to him because they were just like, yeah.
They didn't give us any pushback until the end. With 43 seconds, they thought they had it in the bag, and I think
that was some of your best trash talking ever.
You know, I saved it for that moment. I was like, please, whatever you do not leave the stadium because 43 seconds and 3 timeouts with these rooks, it's an eternity with this team.
The guy was just talking. You're just like, you can say whatever you want in 42 seconds. And then he was gone before 42 seconds was up. He was not waiting to talk about any of that. But, I mean, Dak had a great game, over 300 yards, 70% or 69% completion. Great passer, pretty good QBR. He did have that fumble lost in the first series. First series. Yeah. Actually lost it, but came back. I mean, it was a close game the whole time. You know, people were... Because when you're in the stadium, you don't get the replays, you don't get stats or anything. You're just watching the game. Yeah. And my dad texted me, he's like, there was 7 lead changes.
Yeah, there
I was like, oh my... I mean, thinking back, you're like, yeah, there was. But in the stadium, it's just like...
Yeah.
I don't know. For some reason, I just felt like we were in control pretty much from the second quarter on.
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't up the whole time, but I just like, this is our game. Until like 42 seconds left. I was a little worried.
Oh, I wasn't.
I thought we have a definite shot because all we needed was a field goal, but I was like, it's not a position I want to be in.
Yeah.
But Zeke, he came out and did Zeke things, 2 touchdowns, 3 really. I mean, 2 rushing, 1 passing. His first touchdown, that 83-yard pass.
Yeah, that was amazing. And
you were gone.
No, I wasn't gone. I was coming through. I wasn't in the seats. I was coming through the tunnel, and I had to walk backwards of the seats because I was watching. And then I just went berserk when I realized he was going to make it through that last set of blockers. And I mean, that was amazing. Zeke was Offensive Player of the Week, for the NFL. So amazing game by Zeke. He is, and I will probably talk about this in a second, but he is a legitimate MVP candidate for the NFL. I mean, he makes this machine go. He is amazing. I don't really hear anything
Dak
about...
still is. I mean, he's a candidate. He's not leading candidate, but he's a candidate.
Not for MVP, because I think you got to be the best. MVP. In my opinion, you have to be the best in your position to be considered an MVP. There's no doubt Zeke is the best running back in the NFL. I don't think anyone would argue. Maybe Le'Veon Bell could give an argument there, but he leads the league in rushing with 1,005 yards at this point. I mean, do we ever hear about Jalen Ramsey anymore? Anyone still want Jalen over Zeke?
No. Hear about Bosa? Bosa's... I mean, we couldn't pick him because he was picked before, but...
I don't think any Cowboy fan at this point regrets Zeke at the number 4. So kudos to Jerry in the game on getting that one right.
Yeah. And we targeted Dez 9 times, which I think is perfect. We need to target Dez between 8 and 10 times. Any less than that, we're not getting enough shots. Any more than that, we're just forcing the ball. I mean, he had 6 receptions, 116 yards, that beautiful 50-yard touchdown.
That was nice.
But it's not like the Steelers played bad. I mean, Big Ben had over 400 yards, 80% completion rating. So, you know, he didn't, I wouldn't say he picked apart our defense, but we've got an average to above average somewhere in their defense, and he played pretty well against it. I mean, Brown had an incredible day.
Yeah.
I mean, it just seemed every time we looked, he was catching the ball. Le'Veon Bell didn't rush well, but he caught the ball well, which is weird.
Yeah.
He had a couple good runs, but we still kept him under like 60 yards. The one thing that I'm going to... Jason Garrett.
Yes.
I can't believe I'm saying this. Is he going to be coach of the year?
He's absolutely going to be coach of the year. Because if you think about it, Dak...
I can't believe it.
I know, but Dak wasn't even our backup quarterback. He was our third-string quarterback, a fourth-round rookie. And I think he deserves it because he's putting Dak in all the right places, in the right formations, putting him in position to be successful. I mean, our defense...
Well, he's 8-1 with a rookie quarterback and running back.
Yeah, and our defense was expected to be... Well, we know that's a lot to do with Marinelli, but if he gets the blame when they're bad, he's got to get the credit when they're good. So, I mean, I don't know who else would be coach of the year. You could say Belichick, since he had similar issues with quarterbacks at the beginning of the season, but I could really see if this momentum continues to the rest of the second half of the year, he's going to be coach of the year.
I can't believe it.
And he deserves it.
He does. It's incredible because I've talked... I mean, there's so many things I've said bad about him over the years, and I'm not going to just say 1 year and he's going to be a Hall of Fame coach, but he's doing great this year.
Yeah, he is.
He really is. The two questions I have on the game, though, is, one, we've still got too many penalties. He's got to get control of those penalties somehow. But when we went for 2, I'm not saying we shouldn't have gone for 2 because we should have. With the numbers and the points, we should have. Why are we not running?
Yeah.
We've got the best running back in the league. He falls forward and gets 2 yards. We didn't even have, either time, we didn't even have him in the backfield.
Yeah, and that I don't get because you're right.
We did 2 back shoulder fades to Dez, and that's the one throw Dak can't do. And we're trying to do that on 2-point conversions?
Yeah, I mean, you got to at least have a threat of the most dominant running game in the NFL. And to have it as an empty setback, it just makes no sense.
Yeah. There's 2 ways I would have rather won, though.
We're getting
there's 2.
I don't think I would choose any other way but the way we won.
There's 2. One was just a field goal at the end, and I'll tell you why in a second. But the what would have been the most exciting, we saw it a little bit with Denver and New Orleans. But if Carr ran back that interception on the 2-point conversion against Pittsburgh, and because then we get the ball punted to us and we just kneel it.
Well, and remember the last time we played Pittsburgh at home 4 years ago, overtime? Guess who got that big pick and got to the 1 yard? Brandon Carr. So that would have been fitting, huh?
It would have been awesome. But the reason I wanted to make the field goal and not kick the touchdown, not just because of our bet, but I wanted to be able to go, if y'all didn't go for 2 every time, y'all would have won this game.
Yeah.
Because we would have only won by 2 points. If they would have literally not gone for 2 anytime and just kicked the field goal, they would have won by 2. And I just wanted to be able to say that. That was a stupid... We were sitting there, they scored on their first drive, so 8 minutes into the game. Yeah. And we're looking at each other like, why are they going for 2? What's the point? And then they
did it again. I mean, at that point, you're trying to gain the points that you lost in the first drive, but I don't get why they're going for 2.
Yeah, they're ahead, but it's like they're playing from behind.
Well, and I guess, let me say, I think the logic in that is they thought if they got up big on us, try to rack up points against our young team, that that would work. They'd get down, and then they could bring the heat and take our running game out of it. So I guess getting up early, take our running game out, that obviously didn't work because the biggest play was a screen pass to get that momentum started. But I guess that was a logic. But otherwise, I don't see why you would do that.
Anything else on the game besides? I mean, I want to get Romo.
I'm going to give you an interesting thing about the game because we were talking about the fans earlier. But did you know that was the most, that was the highest attendance for a football game at Heinz Field?
I know. I thought that was weird. 70,000 something. I was like, we get that on a preseason game.
Yeah, but even that, there was plenty of empty seats still, on the upper section.
Well, do they count tickets sold?
They count tickets sold, but still. But I don't know.
A bunch of people didn't show up.
Yeah, which you would think that had to be the biggest game of the year for them. And the ticket prices at least show that was the biggest game of the year.
Yeah, we had a friend that came and didn't even go to the game, didn't buy a ticket. He just stayed and watched at a bar and tailgate. He could have just bought a party pass and sat with us.
Yeah, he could have.
Because all the people next to us left at halftime.
Yeah, they did.
That was at halftime.
Yeah, they left at halftime. I guess, they were smart because they knew what was coming.
We do got a couple shout-outs. Megan and John out there listening. Thank you very much. But Romo.
Yes.
Had the media, a little press conference or whatever you want to call it, and got a bunch of news out there, and then Jerry Jones came up and talked about something, and then everybody's saying, Romo asked for a shot. The one thing I want to say is what happened is exactly what anybody thinks would happen. Romo comes back. Dak's doing well. He says, hey, can I at least compete for my old job? Which is what he should do. Jerry Jones or Jason Garrett, whoever you want to say said no, which is what they should have done. And then he goes, okay, well, I'll be a good team player. I'll go out there and support Dak. I'll be a good backup. If I get my shot, I get my shot. I mean, that's exactly what I would have guessed would have happened.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes out like, oh, well, Romo asked for his job, and they said no, well, of course Romo asked for his job back. I mean, who doesn't come back from injury and say, I want a shot back at my job? But of course, Jerry Jones and Jason Garrett said, no way, we're 8-1.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think one of the strange things about this, because I would think with Romo's State of the Union or conference on Tuesday, or his concession speech, so to speak, that Jerry would just leave it alone and close the door. But Jerry,
he's stirring that pot.
I know, he is. Jerry today comes out and says, of course Romo's going to be on this team next year. And
5 years.
Yeah, 5 years, and he's going to win a Super Bowl. We're like, well, if Dak's here and Romo's here, I mean, unless the NFL changes the rules and there's 2 quarterbacks on the field now, I mean, there's only room for 1 quarterback. And Jerry, I mean, Romo, I think, did the right thing. I think what he did was a great thing. He obviously wants to play. He thinks he deserves to play, and I bet Romo thinks he could do a better job than Dak. And he may be right, but you can't ruin the momentum at 8-1 at this point. But Jerry just,
as much as Jerry wants to win, Jerry would much rather be in the headlines than winning. Now, if he can be winning and in the headlines, he's in heaven. But Jerry wants to be in those headlines, and he would hate to be winning and not be the number 1 team talked about. And he is just loving this Romo Dak quarterback controversy.
He would not let it go.
And being 8-1, he's got every headline there is to be.
But you know what? That if let's say Dak has a couple bad games, and let's say we lose a couple bad games, all this that he's stirring is just going to erupt on him. And it's if we think, I mean, we put out an article today. If you haven't had a chance, go to Sports Overserved about Romo and whether or not he should get a chance or not, or when he asked for a chance. But he just needs to leave it alone and let it be, because if it does go south for Dak, then people are going to want Romo back in, and he's going to perpetuate the situation by doing this.
He is. But Jerry likes that. It's insane. He's like a reality star in that he should have been born 50 years later so he could be on the Real World. I mean, that's what Jerry wants. He wants to be on Real World Road Rules Challenge or whatever it is. That's what Jerry wants.
So you're saying
that's what
Jerry could have it if he could win and then have one quarterback play the first half and the second, and then everyone debate about who's the better quarterback at the end of the game instead of who won the game. He would prefer that.
He would prefer that. I mean, it's insane. I mean, I'm not saying Jerry doesn't want to win, because Jerry wants to win.
Yeah, he wants to win.
But he doesn't want to do it without everybody knowing about it.
He wants his cake.
He wants everybody to know about it. But, hey, I am getting some love from my Cowboys hat. I got a new hat.
Yeah,
and
good-looking
Chrissy's
hat.
out there saying it's looking good.
Oh, yeah,
so,
nice hat.
But let's get into the game, because now we got a noon game, which the Cowboys should never have a noon game.
I like nooners. I mean, it's a good noon game. I mean, it's a good defense, right? The number 1 overall defense in Baltimore. And also, again, Matt, we have the number 1 rushing offense. It seems like they're always number 1 until they play us. Yeah. And then we got to drop them in the rush.
Oh, we will.
So it's definitely going to be a good matchup for our young rooks to see how we perform against the best defense.
Yeah, the over-under with Baltimore for rushing is 71.3 yards. Do you think we'll be over or under that?
Bet hard over.
Okay.
Because we're going to depend on the run with this team, because they don't have a crappy secondary. They're ranked 5th in the secondary, so it's not a team that you can just throw it down the field like the Eagles or anywhere where they have a strong front 7 and then a weak back of the defense. So it should be a well-balanced defense against a really well-balanced offense. I'm excited to see, and we'll get into the picks, but that 7-point spread, that may be a lot. It may not be a shootout like it was last week.
Spread, yeah. So it looks like it's going to be a much lower scoring game than we're used to seeing with these Cowboys, just because of not just their defense being number 1, but also their offense isn't very good.
Oh, 25th,
I still see it as coming up probably to a close game, but not a 30-35 like we saw last week. And then, just getting back to that for 1 second, that is the best game I've ever been to live.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm so glad we went.
I would say that's probably the best Cowboy game. Like you watch a Cowboy game and you see it on the road and you're like, man, I would have paid anything to be at that game. I think the only other game I would have felt that strongly about was in 2014 with the Seattle-Dallas game. I think that was an awesome game.
Yeah.
And that would have been awesome to be at the CenturyLink Field. But this one was just the way it ended. It was
what about the Bills game like 8 years ago?
The 5 turnover game?
I mean, it was an awful football game, but that would have been just amazing to see.
It would have been.
Nick Folk kick two
106-yard field goal, yeah.
Thanks, Tio.
Yeah. That would be up there. I would think, but this game to be there was
for it to be Pittsburgh Cowboys.
But you know what? We actually thought about going to Cleveland. Could you imagine if we would have picked Cleveland and not picked Pittsburgh?
I told you that like 3 times. I'm like, aren't y'all glad I said no to Cleveland? No, because you were like, well, it's only a week apart, and we can go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, you could get 50-yard line tickets for on second row for like $30.
It was super cheap. But we do have a question coming in of when are we going to trade Dez?
Never is the answer. Why would you trade your best
I think I'm going to change the question.
Okay.
When are we going to trade Romo? Are we going to trade him after the season?
You know what? Vegas is already putting odds on this, believe it or not. If you go from, I think the Cardinals are like plus 750. They have a pretty good chance
of where Romo's going to go.
Where Romo's going to go. Broncos,
yeah, the Jets.
Yeah, the Broncos and Jets are high, but the number one team, believe it or not, is the Cowboys. He's still now
staying on the Cowboys?
To stay on the Cowboys because they say even if you trade him, you're only going to save $5 million of cap space for next year. So is it worth having that security, especially if Dak continues to be the starter? If he hit that sophomore slump or whatever, or an injury, is $5 million worth that? And it may be. So that's the argument is maybe they keep him. But if he doesn't stay with the Cowboys, my bet is Arizona or Denver.
Well, I think one thing is, I always talk about this contract. It's an insane contract. Mm-hmm. It's too much to be paying him. Even if he wasn't injured, I think it's too much to be paying him $24 million a year. But looking at the defensive side, I know we got Mo Clay coming up. He's in a contract here, but we're not really paying anybody, so it's not like it's killing us. I think we've got one player above $10 million on the defense, but everybody else is just like lunch pail.
I think one way he would stay is if he gets a commitment from the Cowboys that it's going to be an open competition, a fair competition, and he would restructure his deal.
But we can't have him restructure and still backload that.
Well, I'm just saying,
if he just lowers it completely.
Just lowers it completely. Yeah. And if he wants to be at Dallas and thinks he can beat out Dak next year, then maybe that's the way. I mean, Vegas right now has him favored to stay in Dallas over any other team. So there's got to be something to that.
There's got to be. And now let's talk a little bit. Let's go back to the Ravens game.
Okay.
And now we got Zeke playing against the number one rushing defense.
Again.
Is he going to get over 100?
Yes, Matt.
That's quick.
Yeah, but Zeke, guys, I'm telling you, he is the legitimate MVP candidate, not of just this team, but of the league.
Yeah,
he is the best player, in my opinion, that's played in this league this far. You saw what he did in Pittsburgh. When we were down a couple scores in that game, he made a simple screen pass that we were backed up to the 13 or 14-yard line and made that changed the whole momentum of the game. And then not only that, he scores 2 touchdowns in 2 minutes. I mean, he's the best player in the NFL, in my opinion.
If he wins MVP, are they also going to give him NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year? Or are they going to give that to Dak?
Yeah, they give that to Dak. Yeah,
that's just kind of weird. Like if you win MVP, how can you not also win? They just want to spread it out.
Yeah, spread the wealth.
Okay. Now, what about Dak? What kind of games is he going to have? I mean, he's like you said, he's playing number 5 in the DBs.
Yeah. I think, I'll be honest, I'm going to say similar to what we saw in Philly. I think he's going to struggle early. I think he really is. And I think he's going to have to, and that's why I think Zeke's going to get over 100. I think the game plan is to lean on Zeke heavy at the beginning, let him see what's going on. You guys, he's still a rookie, and he's still learning. They're going to throw. Terrell Suggs he's no slump. He's one of the best linebackers in the NFL. He's going to have that defense ready. They're going to try to confuse young Dak, and I think they're going to be successful at the beginning, but with that offense, they're not going to be able to put enough separation between us. So I think Dak's going to get better and potentially have some game winning drive or big fourth quarter with Zeke being dominant and then opening up that pass game.
Okay. Now, last thing is we got to give our predictions for the game. What do you think the score is going to be?
Well, so it's -7. I think the Cowboys aren't going to cover, but I think we win. It's going to be a low-scoring affair, guys. That 35-30, enjoyed that high-scoring game. You're not going to see that this week. It's going to be similar to that Giants game. I'm going to say 20-16 Dallas.
20-16 Dallas.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Maybe you got me excited or something, but I changed my pick.
Ooh.
I'm taking Dallas.
Oh,
I'll give you the points because we are 8-1
against the spread.
Against the spread as well. Mm-hmm. We're 8-1 in our record, but we're 8-1 against the spread. So it basically means the only game we lost against the spread was the game we lost. So it's like if we win, we're taking the spread too. So you know what? I'm going to say forget it. I'm going to say 24-10 Cowboys.
Oh, I think you jinxed us, Matt, because if we're 8-1 against the spread and that's our only loss, Giants arguably the best team we played this year. Could be the second best team. Hope you're wrong about that.
I'm going to say 24-10. Now, everybody out there, make sure, like Phil was saying, get on sportsoverserve.com. We do have articles up there about the Cowboys, about the Mavs, about all kinds of different things. And make sure also we're going to have the podcast out, which is going to have a lot more in-depth stuff. And that'll be out tomorrow. But until next time.